I spent hours digging to find the craziest Yellowjackets fan theories. Today, I'm going to be ranking them from most believable to delusional. First of all, what do we know going into Season 4? Season 3 ends with Natalie finding the plane transponder that Misty hid, and she's successfully able to use it. However, we're still 1 to 2 months away from rescue. Hannah will die in the wilderness since the 3 scientists were said to have gone missing. Robin, Jen, Britt, and Akilah are all alive as of now, but Akilah was left behind in the cave by Lottie, so she's unaccounted for. In the adult timeline, Ty and Misty are teaming up against Shauna, Melissa killed Van for reasons we can't be sure of, and Jeff and Callie left Shauna after Callie admits to killing Lottie. Next up, what are some things we still have to find out? What's up with the wilderness? Does it have any real power? What does the symbol mean? Who's the cabin guy, and why was he there? And who was the man in Jackie's death vision? And if it was the cabin man, why? Who burnt the cabin down? Who was Javi's friend that helped him survive? What did Van mean that surviving was never the reward? How do the other survivors die? How do they get rescued? And how does the show end, and who survives? So grab a snack, hit that subscribe button, and let's get into the theories. My rankings are, I believe, obviously for something I fully believe in. I could see it for something that could happen, but I'm not 100% on board about. 50-50 for things I'm on the fence about. That's a stretch for things that are unlikely. And delusional for things that I do not believe in at all. I'm going to start with some character theories, then move into the deeper storyline ones. First up, Melissa kills Van because she, or Ty, stacks the deck to kill one of her friends. I believe this. There's also talk that Melissa said, "Isn't this what the wilderness wants?" because she still believes in the wilderness and she kills Van as a sacrifice, but I don't believe that. I think she said it more as a taunt, and it could be because Van and the others were trying to kill Melissa first, but I think there's something deeper about it. There's been hints about Van and Ty rigging the deck, and I think there's going to be a plot where this results in one of Melissa's friends' deaths, so she wants revenge. Lottie kills Akilah in the caves. I don't believe this one, just because that would be such a bland ending to Akilah's storyline, an off-screen death, just like we got with adult Lottie. Okay, I'm convincing myself. No, Akilah's actor was brought in as a series regular, so she's definitely gonna have more scenes. So I'm gonna put this in, that's a stretch. One I do believe is that Akilah survives the caves and she's left behind when they're rescued, which is like the cruelest fate. That would be just absolutely insane and heartbreaking for her to come back to an empty camp after surviving alone for a month or two, which was her vision. To add on to that one, Akilah is left behind but survives the wilderness and comes back as an adult, either after being rescued or if the adults come back to the wilderness at the end. That would be insane. Probably a little unrealistic for her to survive alone for 16 years, but she was the one taking care of the animals, so maybe she could restart her own little farm. I want to believe this one, so I'm going to put it in I could see it. I'm not sure they do another surprise adult alive, but that would be insane for them to go back to the wilderness and find her still there. Plus, they've had one surprise adult survivor each season, so we'd need one this season to continue the tradition. This theory is that Jen is rescued with them, but wants to talk, so they kill her after they go back home. This one would show that the girls brought the wilderness home with them, and how it wouldn't be so easy for them to shift out of that mindset back into normal life, which is somewhat true from what we've seen from them as adults, so I'm putting this in I could see it. I think this theory is cool and believable because I don't see them killing 5 more girls in just 1 month in the wilderness unless there's a natural disaster. It would get pretty repetitive to have all 5 girls die in a hunt. So to keep things fresh and have another shock plot twist, it would be crazy to have Jen rescued with them and then killed for wanting to talk about what happened. This would also explain why Melissa faked her death to get away from them. I would assume I was next if I was her. And they proved that true as adults. Taissa is possessed by the cabin guy. Delusional. I just thought that one was funny. Walter has his own agenda. I'm gonna put this in I believe it, because there's definitely some reason why he's so involved and why he's acting different at the end. I've seen a few theories, like he's Melissa's brother, that he's Misty's long-lost brother, that he's related to one of the frog scientists, that he isn't real and Misty created him in her mind, that he's part of a rich cannibalism cult where the apex move is to prey upon another cannibal. I think he's just a Yellowjackets superfan, to be honest. There's definitely an agenda there. like he's trying to protect them or he's trying to get the truth. I'm just not sure about the theories about him being related to someone. Lisa is Natalie and Travis's daughter. I don't see a point of this being revealed at this point since Natalie and Travis are both dead, but I can see how some evidence may point to this, with Lottie having taken money from Travis before his death and giving money to Lisa for her trauma, which would make more sense if there was a deeper reason for giving her the money. Plus Natalie and Lisa having that kind of connection before her death, but I think that's more of a kindred spirits type thing. So I'm putting this in that's a stretch. Because there's some evidence, I just don't believe it. Misty will be the final girl. I believe this one. As I'm thinking about the possible endings, and Ty, Shauna, Melissa, and Misty all surviving wouldn't make sense for this story. This theory talked about how being left alone would be like the true punishment for the things she's done, since she literally destroyed the black box to stop them from being rescued so they could keep hanging out. Also, how if the wilderness is something supernatural, or even not, it would be like poetic justice because she's made and caused the most sacrifices, and she acted like the glue keeping the adult timelines together, so it would make sense for the wilderness to keep her alive even if all her friends die. I also just think that out of all of them, she has the final girl energy. Callie becomes the next Antler queen. An insane theory I saw is that Callie is eventually gonna start her own cult and continue the wilderness stuff as the new Antler queen, but delusional. I don't see that happening. Other Ty burned the cabin down. I don't see who else it could have been, unless there's another big plot twist coming, but for now, I'm gonna put this in, I believe it. Moving on to wilderness theories. The symbol is a cult mark. This theory is that a cult once used the wilderness for rituals, and the sites of the symbol were potential sacrifice spots. That's a stretch. Just because I don't think they'll introduce anything extra like that into the plot. There's too much stuff we still have to tie up. The symbol is a portal that marks a supernatural gateway or an alternative dimension connected to the wilderness. Again, I don't think there's time to wrap something like that up. But this one's even crazier, so it's going in delusional. The symbol is a warning for danger in the area using hobo code. Now this one, I believe, I saw this one on Reddit, and they went over the symbols for things like halt, man with a gun, there is nothing to be gained here, this is not a safe place, etc. And how all of those symbols mixed together resemble this symbol, and it kind of all clicked for me. And I think this one's the most realistic. Eating people gives you a piece of them. This symbol comes from Travis talking about how he has memories from Jackie and Javi, plus would explain why Ty ate Van's heart. I think this might just be a part of the mass hysteria. Delusional. The next one is based on the wilderness having psychotropic effects, like the moss, the gas, the mushrooms, the water, and then it's all just psychological, like a mass delusion, and there's no supernatural in the wilderness. Now, I'm someone who will always hope for something supernatural going on because I love supernatural plots, but I don't think that's the case with Yellowjackets. With the vibe of the story and the trauma and the evidence of hysteria, and I'll talk about this more with some other theories, but I believe it. Alternatively, there's the theory that the wilderness is a real supernatural entity. It demands blood, and every time they kill someone, something good happens. Despite my placing of the previous theory, I'm going to put this one in 50-50, because even though I personally believe it's not supernatural, I wouldn't be shocked if it was. Ignore my contradictions. Finally, I'm going to go over some theories about the entire plot and the ending of the show. The cabin hunter is the true villain. He started the curse or the rituals, and everything bad happening is because of him. Delusional. I don't believe in that one, but it would be fun. The third timeline in season 4 will be after their deaths, because I guess the writer said there will be 3 timelines in season 4. I'm putting this one in delusional. I apologize, but I don't see them doing a whole timeline on the plane or in the afterlife. I don't think that's the vibe of the show. I think the third timeline is just going to be them coming home after rescue. Lottie's dad orchestrated the plane crash. This comes from them mentioning in episode 1 that he's the one that got them the plane, him showing up in season 3 and mentioning that he paid someone off for an accident, and him struggling to deal with Lottie's illness, but I think that's a stretch. Adult Lottie's dead, so I don't think there's an emotional payoff for this to even be true, and if the other girls found out, it would be like, okay, like that would only be emotional for Lottie to find out. The adult storylines are dreams. I'm putting this one in delusional because this plot is probably the only ending that could piss me off. Callie will reveal the truth. I'll put this one in I could see it because I do think at the end it'll all come out. Maybe someone will publish everything that happened in a book. I could see Shauna doing it right before her death because she's crazy. But it would be kind of like the ultimate FU for Callie to take her journals and publish everything that happened. And I could see that happening. The adult Yellowjackets are in purgatory. This is because of the plane sequences, how we don't see Travis and Lottie meet their younger selves, but we do see Nat and Van, and they both chose mercy over killing before they die, and Van saying that surviving was never the reward. This would downplay the entire adult storyline, but I think it would be cool. I'm going to put it in 50-50 because I don't really believe anything supernatural is happening. I think it's genuinely a story about psychosis and trauma. Even though I love supernatural plots, I wouldn't be against it. The man with no eyes is death, following the survivors. That's a stretch. Just because we've already seen he's from that ice cream commercial, so I think he's just another piece of evidence that it's all trauma-induced psychosis. The adults and teens are in contact, and there's multiple realities. This theory was very well developed. I'll link it below if you want to read the whole thing, but the basics of it is that the adults and teens are able to contact each other through the plane, and Other Ty is doing things her future self already knows, like her actions directly cause certain things to happen to prevent worse things from happening. An example would be when she said it was okay when she was about to shoot Coach, potentially because she knew she'd miss, or maybe burning the cabin down because it eventually leads to their rescue, and how she's potentially going to stand up to Shauna to become the new Antler Queen or destroy the idea of it. Also in this theory, Lottie can see into other timelines, which is why she is the way she is. I'm going to put this in that's a stretch, just because I think it's a really cool theory and it's super well thought. Unfortunately, I think this is a Stranger Things conformity gate situation where the fans come up with this insane theory that the writers definitely did not think of. Someone in the comments called this delusional, but I think these kind of theories that seem crazy but have a bunch of evidence throughout the show are fun. At the end of the day, again, I do think it's just psychosis and not supernatural. I think any ending that's super complicated with multiple realities and timelines would just make things confusing for no reason, and I don't think the writers are going for that. And finally, all survivors eventually die and meet on the plane. I'm gonna put this in I could see it because I want this to happen. I think that would be a cute ending, coming full circle. All the girls are back together again, a flashback to them getting along as teens on the plane, and then showing them as adults all forgiving each other, flying off to the afterlife. But it is giving Riverdale ending. And those are some Yellowjackets theories for the final season. To summarize my position, I think it's a story of mass hysteria, trauma, delusion. Even though it'll be super fun to see something supernatural going on, I think everything is pointing towards them just going insane. They ate people, and I'm sure that has some psychological effects. The mushrooms were shown to make them crazy. Dare I say, they weren't just tripping when they tried to murder and assault people. So, it wouldn't be crazy to suggest that other stuff they were eating might have also been contaminated, plus the gas in the caves, and the frogs being the noise they were hearing, and the man with no eyes being from the childhood commercial, not something supernatural. I don't think the wilderness is alive and wants sacrifices, and I don't think it followed them home. But I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'll be just as satisfied if there's a supernatural twist, and it's all explained really well. Let me know in the comments which theories you believe, like and subscribe to see a potential recap for the new season, and maybe even a reaction when it comes out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.